What the internet did, especially in the early days, was create this space of anonymity. People could play with identity. You could be who you wanted to be. You had a lot of, gender play, sexuality play, but that quickly became much more. We never use the term weird in anthropology. If anything, it's interesting, right? But there are a lot of interesting people out there. It helps to have other interesting people to help you feel comfortable in who you are. And I think that's also been a big part of what the internet has offered.
Alt.horror.werewolves was originally grouped November 16, 1992. It was intended for discussion of horror genre movies and books dealing with werewolves. As the discussions grew more and more philosophical, a concept known as spiritual therianthropy was formed. Spiritual therianthropy is the ability to mentally transform from the normal human mode of thinking and reacting to an animal one.
My name is Lexi, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm a fox therian. Emotionally, spiritually, at a sort of every level except physical, basically. I'm a fox. I do fox things, I act in a sort of fox-like manner, I embody those traits physically. It's just me.
Each one of us identifies with an animal whose characteristics we feel reflect our own.
I have loved foxes for years. There's always been this very deep-rooted connection with them for me. And truth be told, I really couldn't tell you why. Up until a while ago, I was very, very foxish, very quiet, very shy, very introverted. But, once I started to open up, once I started to get to know people, I was extremely affectionate. Looking up videos of foxes and talking to more fox therians, I realized, this is what was missing. This is a big part of my identity that was completely missing that I never even really thought about.
What we discuss here is very serious and real to us. For some of us, it's tantamount to discussing a religion.
I'm a Buddhist, and I almost feel a connection with this animal specifically because I feel as though there was something heavily weighted in my past lives towards more fox or canine-like animals.
It's easy to say that this started with the internet. And I think that's problematic, right? I think a lot of this was happening before the internet. Native American cultures famously had very close connections with specific animals. And it's really interesting when you look at the clan names for the various groups that were recorded by the Jesuit missionaries back in the 1600s, because it's often the same animals. The beaver, very important, deer, almost always are there. The wolf clans were always very powerful. Even if you were from a different tribe or nation, you could be adopted because of your clan and because of the animal totem that was associated with you. But these are stories and beliefs that come from human history from all over the world. There's something about us as universally human, right, that we turn to these kinds of beliefs and feelings, right? They help us, they work for us.
I joined a server that had a couple other fox therians in it, a Discord server. And I really started socializing with them, and a lot of what they were saying to me about, their identity and about what they went through kind of resonated with me really heavily. And that sense of community and that sense of understanding amongst other therians can be very, very immensely satisfying.
But these kinds of communities, these, especially online subcultures, what they're often doing is emerging to fill the role of satisfying people's needs. Cultures exist because they work for the people. They help us. Cultures help us.
Around the time that I've started being more open about being a therian, I've started being more openly trans. And those two kind of directly correlated with one another. It's almost like I've, embodied this entire new identity, and it just feels wonderful. I don't know, I used to, get out of bed, I'd feel insanely depressed. I wouldn't really know. I didn't have a lot of direction, but now it feels like I'm working towards something. It feels like I'm working towards myself.
If you are feeling like you're in a world where things aren't making sense, where you aren't fitting in, what your brain will do is naturally basically go into a mode of explaining it. And if you're not the same as all of these other people, yeah, sure, you might feel more of a connection with animals.
These are people who are, or I guess I shouldn't say people, these are animals who are very deeply connected with that sense of identity, and they find solace and they find understanding with each other.
I want each and everyone reading this to realize one thing. You have become a part of history. It may be a history that will never be known publicly. You will hopefully never hear about it in the media. But in my mind, and the minds of those who have ever been a part of this group, it will be hard to forget.